Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Fluff and the Nut, the show about 40k fluff. I'm the Nut, because the title doesn't make any sense then, and I'm crazy. Let's get on to the fluff, shall we? 40k is a massive universe, so when you start to look at the fluff, it gets very confusing, very fast. There's so many things that happen that you get lost pretty easily. They all refer back to previous events, but after a couple of months of reading, I understood most of it. The problem for me was there was no good place to start. But then I realized that I should go in chronological order to figure out the story. And that worked for me, and I'm assuming you're just like me. Chronologically, let's go back to the old ones. The old ones are the oldest race in 40k. Their name really gives it away. But this episode will focus mostly on them. The old ones were us species, or many species, that's whole goal was seeding the galaxy with life. The old ones are credited as being the first sentient beings in the galaxy. The old ones were also said to be the first race to reach for the stars and travel in space. The old ones were said to be an incredibly powerful race that built many great wonders using psychic technology. The old ones have also been credited with the construction of the webway. The old ones, using the webway, traveled vast distances through the galaxy in a blink of the eye. The old ones believed that all life was useful. And to this belief, the old ones impregnated many worlds with life and uplifted many native races. The old ones may have declared war on the Catan. This statement was given by the deceiver, so it's questionable at best. The old ones eventually met an ancient race known as the Necrontyr. The Necrontyr orbited a highly radioactive sun, and because of this, their bodies could not withstand the radiation, and their lives were very short. They also faced several civil wars and insurrections. The Necrontyr had great trouble colonizing other worlds. Meanwhile, the old ones were nigh immortal and easily colonized other worlds. The Necrontyr became incredibly jealous due to these facts. It also did not help that the old ones refused to give them the secret of immortality when the Necrontyr asked. The Necrontyr developed a strong hatred for the old ones. The Necrontyr Triarchs, the leaders of their people, believed that if they had a common foe, then all the civil wars and insurrections would stop. The Triarchs used this hatred to start a war with the Old Ones that became known as the War in Heaven. Although the Necrontyr were extremely advanced, they could not defeat the Old Ones. The Old Ones outmaneuvered the Necrontyr at every turn with the webway. The Necrontyr were reduced to nothing more than an annoyance to the Old Ones. The Necrontyr were now imprisoned in the Halo Stars, and they began to seek a new way to destroy the Old Ones. They found their answer looking at their sun. There they found, feeding on their star, the old entities which they called the Catan, meaning star gods in their language. The Necrontyr asked for a way to win the war, and the Catan turned the Necrontyr into the dreaded Necrons. The Necrontyr were fused with living metal and were turned into soulless killing machines. The old ones were not prepared for the coming storm. The Necrons began the second half of the War in Heaven. The Catan devoured suns, raised planets, and harvested entire races. The Catan, having superior powers over the material universe, began to defeat the old ones and their child races. The webway was no match for the Catan and the Necrons. The Necrons gained access to the webway, and they began to siege the bastions of the old ones across the galaxy. The old ones, although being an incredibly patient species, needed a quick solution. The old ones found the weakness of the godlike Catan. The warp powers themselves were the only thing that could truly hurt them. The old ones' plan was to create several new races in order to combat the Necron threat. The new races would have a stronger connection to the warp in order to battle the Catan. The Eldar were among one of the many races that were created by the old ones in order to fight the Necrons. Although not participating in the War in Heaven, the first humans were created by the old ones during this period. It took a millennium for the races to be ready to fight the Necrons. In that time, the Necrons eradicated much of the life of the universe. During the infancy of the Eldar, they learned much about the technology of the old ones and would later use it. The new races were released and sent the Necrons reeling across the battlefields of the galaxy. The Necrons had trouble battling the powers of the warp. The Necrons were pushed back by this new offensive. The Catan attempted to seal the warp off from the material universe in order to take away the advantage of the young races, but were ultimately stopped. However, the old ones did not foresee the side effects of their creation. With a stronger connection to the warp, the new race's growing pains disturbed the warp itself. The new energies coming in caused the warp to become a hostile and predatory place. New beasts were formed by the new energies flowing into the warp. The monsters of the warp broke into reality and began assaulting the last strongholds of the old ones. To combat this new threat, The Old Ones created the Orcs and the Jakaro. But it was too late. The demons had broken into the strongholds of the Old Ones, and even the webway itself. The enslavers, an evil race of warp monsters, took control of the young races and used them against the Old Ones. The enslaver plague was the death blow to the Old Ones. The Old Ones' creations had unwittingly doomed their creators to extinction. The Necrons rebelled against the Catan after the death of the Old Ones. The Eldar took the mantle of galactic dominance from the Old Ones. The Necrons then realized that with the losses from the War in Heaven and the rebellion against the Catan, they had no chance of defeating the Eldar in their present state. The Necrons then sealed themselves in stasis crypts and waited 60 million years to rise again. The Old Ones' creations, the humans, would eventually take the mantle from the Eldar. The humans, being the children of the Old Ones, earned the hatred of the Necrons when they rose again. The Old Ones are basically erased from history. No one remembers the contributions they made to the galaxy. Some Eldar have speculated that the Webway was not created by them. The Orcs' legend of the Brain Boy says that they were created by another species in order to serve as warriors for them. This would fit in right with what the Old Ones did make the Orcs for. In a way, the Orcs do remember what the Old Ones were. The only remnants of the Old Ones is the technology they left behind, whether it's the Webway or Trazine's emphatic obliterator. Hey everybody, thank you for watching my video. If you liked it, go ahead and subscribe or favorite it. I don't really need to tell you how to do that because you've used YouTube before, and it's not like anyone else has ever said that before. If you have any suggestions for how to change these videos to make them better, I'm open to them. And I'm going to keep doing these histories chronologically, and in between each one, I plan on doing just a random topic. I think the next one will be chainswords or bolters. I'm going to do all things 4AK Fluff. So these videos may cover anything. Weapons, events, people. It's up to me. And if you guys really want me to cover something, you can upvote a comment that has that. I mean, all 3 views that I'm probably going to get. Oh yeah, and I may make a video in response to this one giving my opinion about said fluff. Because I have some interesting insights on things, I would say. So if you want to hear me drone on for a couple more minutes, then go ahead and click that annotation over there. Well, thank you for those few people who will probably view this. It means a lot to me, actually. Well, I guess good night. And good luck.